May 4, 2023. Unit 11 Involuntary Liens and Homesteads. Abstract of Judgment. Ad valorem taxes. Affirmation, attachment. Cessation of work. Declaration of homestead. General lien, homestead. Homestead exemption. Judgment lien. Mechanics liens. Notice of cessation. Notice of completion. Notice of non-responsibility. Preliminary notice. Specific liens. Stop notice. Tax liens. Verification. Writ of execution. Abstract of judgment, a summary or synopsis of a court's judgment, usually in a civil case, that outlines the essential details of the decision, such as the amount of money awarded, and is recorded in the public records as a lien against any property owned by the judgment debtor. Ad valorem taxes, taxes that are based on the assessed value of real estate or other property. The term ad valorem means according to value, and these taxes are calculated as a percentage of the assessed value of the property. Affirmation, a solemn declaration or statement made under oath or affirmation, usually in a legal or formal setting, in which the person making the affirmation confirms the truth of the statements they are making. Attachment, a legal process by which a court orders the seizure of property or assets belonging to a defendant in a lawsuit to secure payment of a judgment or to prevent the defendant from disposing of assets that may be needed to satisfy a judgment. Cessation of work, a legal term that refers to the termination or suspension of work on a construction project, usually due to a breach of contract or a failure to pay for services rendered. A cessation of work may result in a claim for damages or other legal remedies. Declaration of homestead, a legal document filed by a homeowner to protect the equity in their primary residence from certain types of creditors, such as unsecured creditors or bankruptcy trustees. The declaration of homestead creates a lien on the property, which can limit the amount of equity that can be seized by creditors in the event of a default or bankruptcy. General lien, a legal claim against all of a debtor's property, both real and personal, for the satisfaction of a debt. A general lien gives the creditor the right to take any property owned by the debtor to satisfy the debt, regardless of whether the property is related to the debt. Homestead, a person's primary residence, which is protected by law from certain types of creditors, such as unsecured creditors or bankruptcy trustees. The homestead may be protected by a declaration of homestead, which creates a lien on the property to limit the amount of equity that can be seized by creditors in the event of a default or bankruptcy. Homestead exemption, a legal provision that allows a homeowner to exempt a certain amount of the equity in their primary residence from certain types of creditors, such as unsecured creditors or bankruptcy trustees. The homestead exemption varies by state and may also have income and value limits. Judgment lien, a legal claim against a debtor's property, both real and personal, that arises as a result of a court judgment. A judgment lien gives the creditor the right to take any property owned by the debtor to satisfy the judgment, subject to any exemptions or priorities provided by law. Mechanics liens, a legal claim against a property that arises when a contractor, subcontractor, or supplier has not been paid for work or materials supplied to improve the property. Mechanics liens are usually governed by state law and can give the lien holder the right to foreclose on the property to satisfy the debt. Notice of cessation, a legal notice that is filed to indicate that work on a construction project has stopped or been suspended. The notice of cessation is usually filed by the property owner or general contractor and is intended to provide notice to subcontractors and suppliers that they may no longer be entitled to mechanics liens for work or materials provided after the date of the notice. Notice of completion, a legal notice that is filed to indicate that a construction project has been completed. The notice of completion is usually filed by the property owner or general contractor and can trigger deadlines for subcontractors and suppliers to file mechanics liens or other legal claims related to the project. Notice of non-responsibility, a legal notice that is filed by a property owner to disclaim responsibility for work or materials provided to improve the property. The notice of non-responsibility is intended to provide notice to potential lien holders that the property owner is not responsible for any debts or obligations related to the work or materials. Preliminary notice, a legal notice that is usually required to be filed by contractors, subcontractors, and suppliers before they can file a mechanics lien or other legal claim against a property. The preliminary notice is intended to provide notice to the property owner and other parties that the contractor, subcontractor, or supplier is providing work or materials to improve the property. Specific liens, a legal claim against a property that arises from a specific debt or obligation, such as a mortgage or tax lien. Specific liens are usually given priority over other types of liens and can give the lien holder the right to foreclose on the property to satisfy the debt. Stop notice, a legal notice that is filed by a contractor, subcontractor, or supplier to prevent the release of funds from a construction project. The stop notice is usually filed in response to a payment dispute and can give the lien holder the right to file a mechanics lien or other legal claim against the property to satisfy the debt. Tax liens, a legal claim against a property that arises from unpaid taxes, such as property taxes or income taxes. Tax liens are usually given priority over other types of liens and can give the lien holder the right to foreclose on the property to satisfy the debt. Verification, a legal statement or affidavit in which the person making the statement declares that the information contained therein is true and accurate to the best of their knowledge. In the context of real estate, a verification may be required in connection with a legal claim or other transaction, such as a loan application. Writ of execution, a court order that authorizes the seizure and sale of a debtor's property to satisfy a judgment or other legal obligation. A writ of execution is usually issued after a judgment has been entered and can be used to seize any property owned by the debtor, subject to any exemptions or priorities provided by law. The sale proceeds are used to satisfy the debt, and any remaining balance is returned to the debtor. Involuntary liens. Involuntary liens are liens against real property that are imposed by the law, as opposed to voluntary liens, such as trust deeds, which are the result of agreement. Liens are a charge against real property, and real property can be foreclosed to satisfy liens. Judgment liens. A judgment is a final order of a court. A court's declaration that money is owed does not in itself create a judgment lien against the debtor's property. Recording a certified abstract of the court's judgment with the county recorder creates a general lien on all the debtor's non-exempt real property within the county where the judgment is recorded. Certified copies of the abstract of judgment might be recorded in additional counties where the debtor has property. Writ of execution. A judgment creditor, after locating and identifying property of the debtor, can obtain a writ from the court directing the sheriff to seize and sell the debtor's property to satisfy the judgment. This writ of execution is a separate lien on the debtor's property for a period of 1 year. Notice of execution sale. Notice of an execution sale must be given by a posting notice of the sale on the property for 20 days before the sale, a publishing notice of the sale once a week for 20 days in a newspaper of general circulation within the county where the property is located, and a mailing notice to anyone who requests notification from the clerk of the court. The execution sale. The sale must be made at public auction by sheriff's sale in the county where the property is located on a business day between 9:00 a.m. and 5 p.m. The purchaser at the sale receives a certificate of sale. Redemption rights. The debtor is allowed to redeem the property from an execution sale within 12 months of the sale. 3 months if the indebtedness was paid in full by the sale proceeds. The debtor can assign the redemption rights to a third party. A sheriff's deed will be issued to the purchaser if a redemption does not occur within the 12-month period. Attachment. Attachment is a process by which real or personal property of a defendant in a lawsuit is seized and kept in the custody of the law to satisfy a judgment that the plaintiff hopes to obtain. Real property taxes and assessments. Property taxes are ad valorem taxes in that they are based on property value. Assessments are costs associated with an improvement that benefits a property, such as paving a street. Proposition 13, enacted in 1978, provides that the assessed value of real estate be based on the 1975 tax rolls. Property is reassessed upon a purchase by a new owner or other changes of ownership, as opposed to general liens, which apply to all of a debtor's property in the county where recorded. Liens for property taxes and special assessments are specific liens attaching to the particular property on which they are due. Special assessments are for public improvements benefiting the property, such as water, sewers, streets, curbs and gutters, etc. Property tax liens and assessment liens have equal priority and take priority over all other liens, regardless of purpose or when recorded. Real property tax rates are determined on or before September 1st. One half of the tax is due on November 1st and delinquent at 5 p.m. on December 10th. The other half is due on February 1st and delinquent at 5 p.m. on April 10th. Mechanics liens are specific liens. They apply only to the property for which labor, material, or services were provided. Within 10 days of obtaining knowledge of an actual commencement of work, the owner must post a notice of non-responsibility on the property in a conspicuous place and record a verified copy. Preliminary notice to prevent secret liens or lien claimants. A preliminary notice must be given before the recording of a mechanic's lien. Period. To file a lien, a recorded notice filed by an owner that work has been completed, known as a notice of completion, sets the exact time of completion. If no notice of completion is filed, any lien claimants can file their liens within 90 days of the actual completion of work. If a notice of completion has been filed, all claimants other than the original contractor have 30 days to file their liens. The original contractor, prime contractor, has 60 days after the recording of the notice of completion to file a lien. The notice of completion must be filed within 10 days of completion of work. Cessation of work. If work is stopped and no notice of cessation is filed, all lien claimants have 90 days from cessation of work to file their liens. Cessation is defined as 60 continuous days without any work being conducted. Lis pendens. As previously stated, a lis pendens is notice of a pending lawsuit involving rights concerning real property. The purpose of a homestead is to provide a home free from the fear and anxiety that it will be lost to creditors. A declaration of homestead may be recorded by an owner, or lessee under a lease for 30 years or more, to protect the homesteaded property from execution by subsequent judgment creditors. The homestead exemption is $75,000 for a single person and $100,000 for a family unit. A $175,000 exemption is available for people 65 or older, people who have physical or mental disabilities, and low-income people over the age of 55. $15,000 or less annual income for a single person and $20,000 or less if married. Unit Quiz 1. Involuntary liens include all except A. Judgment liens. B. Tax liens. C. Attachment. D. Trust deeds. Answer except D. Trust deeds. They are voluntary liens. 2. Which is not a specific lien. A. Property tax lien. B. Judgment lien. C. Special assessment lien. D. Mechanics lien. Answer B. Judgment lien. A general lien against all of debtor's property in the county where recorded. 3. Henry was injured while swimming in the pool of his neighbor Tom. Henry obtained a $100,000 judgment against Tom. As applied to Tom's house, this would be A. An unenforceable lien. B. A general lien. C. A specific lien. D. A priority lien. Answer B. A general lien. It would be a judgment lien. 4. To create a lien after judgment, the creditor would file A. A writ of attachment. B. An execution of judgment. C. An abstract of judgment. D. None of these. Answer C. An abstract of judgment. 5. A judgment lien is effective A. Only in the county where rendered. B. Only in the county where the debtor resides. C. In every county where it is recorded. D. For 25 years from recordation. Answer C. In every county where it is recorded. 6. Which is true about a judgment that has been enforced by an execution sale. A. The buyer receives a certificate of sale. B. The former owner has a 12-month period of redemption. C. The sale need not be held at the property being sold. D. All of these are true. Answer D. All of these are true. 7. Which is an example of a prejudgment lien? A. Mechanics lien. B. Attachment. C. Homestead declaration. D. Lis pendens. Answer B. Attachment. 8. An attachment is a lien for A. 3 years from the date of levy. B. 4 years from the date of levy. C. 10 years from the date of levy. D. 10 years from recordation. Answer A. 3 years from the date of levy. 9. Which sequence shows the proper legal order for these events? A. Execution, attachment, judgment. B. Judgment, execution, attachment. C. Attachment, execution, judgment. D. Attachment, judgment, execution. Answer D. Attachment, judgment, execution. 10. Which is true of priority of liens? A. Tax liens take priority over prior liens for special assessments. B. Tax liens take priority over prior trust deeds. C. Judgment liens take priority over prior mechanics liens. D. None of these is true. Answer B. Tax liens take priority over prior trust deeds. 11. Unpaid real estate taxes have a lien priority superior to A. Prior judgment liens. B. Prior trust deeds. C. Both of these. D. Neither of these. Answer C. Both of these. 12. An unpaid contractor would file which type of lien? A. General. B. Specific. C. Voluntary. D. Attachment. Answer B. Specific. A mechanic's lien. 13. An unlicensed person who has mechanic's lien rights would be A. A general contractor. B. A subcontractor. C. An independent contractor. D. An employee of the contractor. Answer D. An employee of the contractor. 14. A notice of non-responsibility would not be filed by A. Vendor under a real property sales contract. B. Lessor. C. Beneficiary of a prior recorded trust deed. D. Any of these. Answer C. Beneficiary of a prior recorded trust deed, because prior trust deed has priority. 15. A preliminary notice was filed by a contractor 40 days after work started. The period covered by a subsequent lien would start A. With the notice. B. 20 days before notice. C. 20 days after notice. D. At none of these times. Answer B. 20 days before notice. 16. If there is no notice of completion, subcontractors have how many days to file their liens after completion? A. 30. B. 60. C. 90. D. 180. Answer C. 90. As do prime contractors. 17. A contractor started a foundation for a new dwelling, but the owner was not satisfied with his work and paid him off. 3 weeks later, the owner got a construction loan secured by a trust deed, which was recorded. The owner proceeded to hire another contractor to build his home, and when the building was finally completed, a painting subcontractor filed a mechanic's lien against the property. What is the result in this case? A. The trust deed takes priority over the mechanic's lien. B. The mechanic's lien will take priority because a mechanic's lien always takes priority over a trust deed. C. The subcontractor will not be able to file against the property but will be able to file a lien against the contractor's property. D. The mechanic's lien will take priority over the trust deed because some work was done before the trust deed was recorded. Answer D. The mechanic's lien will take priority over the trust deed because some work was done before the trust deed was recorded. Lien rights go back to date work started. 18. A stop notice A. Requires that a contractor stop work. B. Is a lien on construction funds held by a lender. C. Is equivalent to a lis pendens notice. D. Is none of these. Answer B. Is a lien on construction funds held by a lender. 19. A notice of a pending lawsuit involving rights in a property is known as A. An attachment. B. A lis pendens. C. An execution. D. A judgment. Answer B. A lis pendens. 20. By filing a valid homestead declaration, the homeowner receives protection against A. Subsequent mechanic's liens. B. Prior judgments. C. Tax liens. D. Subsequent unsecured claims by creditors. Answer D. Subsequent unsecured claims by creditors. 21. A purchaser of a condominium unit filed a declaration of homestead. The purchaser refused to pay his assessment fees, and the owners association filed a lien. The lien would be A. Void because homesteaded property is protected against liens. B. Enforceable only if the owner's equity exceeds his homestead exemption. C. Collectible as if there were no homestead. D. Valid but collectible only when the homestead is sold. Answer C. Collectible as if there were no homestead. 22. A recorded abstract of judgment has priority over a homestead declaration when A. It was recorded before the homestead. B. The homestead is invalid. C. The homestead is abandoned. D. Any of these occurs. Answer D. Any of these occurs. 23. A declaration of homestead would not be valid if filed by a spouse without the other spouse's permission on community property. B. A tenant on a 35-year lease. C. An owner of a 60-unit apartment complex. D. Both spouses at the start of construction of their future residence. Answer D. Both spouses at the start of construction of their future residence must reside on premises to file. 24. A search of the county records would always show a valid recorded A. Judgment lien. B. Mechanic's lien. C. Homestead. D. All of these. Answer D. All of these. All must be recorded to be valid. 25. To give up a valid homestead, the owner would A. Change residency. B. Rent the premises. C. Change marital status. D. Do none of these. Answer D. Do none of these.